There we go. Um, Sean, Haley, thank you so much for the chance to chat with you about Our American Family. It is a beautiful and moving film, and I'm really excited about the chance to speak with you about it.
We're so
Oh, thank
excited to
you.
talk to you. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
I appreciate it. For both of you, I'm just wondering, what is it that drew you to this specific family? What makes them so special to you?
I had a long-standing relationship with the family. The family's lives in my town.
Mm,
So I connected with them early. I think seeing maybe 8+ years of their struggle, and being part of the community that wanted to support them and wanted to see them succeed. I think they were probably one of the families who was dealing with what many other families in our community were dealing with, but they were the one family that was talking about it and being open about their journey. So I think that was sparked the initial of what made them so special was their openness and their willingness to share a piece of their very difficult journey with the community so that people would understand addiction and find compassion.
yeah, it is a powerful story, and actually, you know what? More than what makes them so special, here's a question that I would ask: Are they unique? Because you had indicated there are probably a number of families in your community that were dealing with the same thing. So I mean, we take this story and it's like, oh, this is Our American Family. But as we talk about this issue, as we get into it, are they unique to you?
I mean, I think in some ways their situation is not unique,
Mm,
but they're as individuals, as people, they're
sure.
very unique. Just their willingness to let us in and getting to know them. And I honestly, within 10 minutes of meeting this family and having like sitting down at one dinner with them, I felt like I was a member of the family. They're just like open, loving people who are willing to be vulnerable and make this film to try to help others. So in that sense, they're extremely unique.
Uh, Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, that was one thing I wanted to ask you. The film is unflinching, shall we say, is unflinching in so many ways to its credit. And a lot of times when we see documentaries, we the whole rule of the documentary is that the filmmakers need to be flies on the wall. But I mean, you're not. You're in that space. You're in that space. But this film somehow manages to accomplish that. I was just wondering for you both, how did you manage to tackle the subject in such an honest manner and such an open manner? You mentioned about the openness of the family, but how did you navigate that?
I think there are two things for that. One is, Sean and Seamus. Sean also like picked up a camera. He has so many talents, but Sean and Seamus, who was our DP, they weren't unflinching.
Mm,
Sean was always rolling, and he was um, calm in a storm a lot of times. So I think it came from the drive to be genuinely honest. And honestly, I believe the family set the tone for that for us. They let us know they want to show, Nicole used the term nitty gritty early on. They wanted to show the nitty gritty of what the day in and day out look like. And when we say nitty gritty, like, hopefully your listeners will be really clear that we don't mean that Our American Family is one of those documentaries that's going to sensationalize addiction.
yeah.
We have no one in this film with using drugs. There's no one with drugs in their arm. Like, that was also like a purposeful choice. But as far as being unflinching, in addition to the team's commitment of staying comfortable in the uncomfortable, and also the family's commitment to not raising a flag in moments that were tough. There's actually only one time where the family was frustrated, like feeling like, okay, we might be done here. Throughout filming, Sean, I was the time when the family like had that big explosion, which you see in the film at the dinner table.
Mhm.
where Nicole was frustrated that her family was going to go away when she had achieved sobriety for a certain amount of time and bring her daughter to a family event. It turned into a heated escalation that was, muddled with resentment and frustration. That was the only one time that the family wasn't sure if we should still keep filming. But again, everybody stayed calm within the storm and really just wanted to be honest.
Yeah, and I think too that's a testament to Hallee had built a relationship with this family over the course of years. So they really trusted the rest of our film team by extension, and I think our film team really respected and trusted and what this family was willing to do. And so there was just like a mutual respect and love amongst everybody, and it became an extended family.
Yeah, it's like, when do you kick out Uncle Herman? Uncle Herman's there and we're fighting, so okay.
Well, Uncle Herman probably doesn't have a camera on his shoulder.
All right, you make
But
a good
yeah.
point.
But no, I hear what you're saying, and absolutely. I mean, this, and certainly when I say unflinching, I don't like. I'm glad you addressed that, because it's not a film that is graphic. It's just very, well, honest is the word, about addiction, about family drama, about the struggles it creates. And I love the line that opens the film. It's just so simple. It just says, "Addiction's really cunning." And I was just wondering, for you both, what is it about addiction that we don't understand? What is the most common misconception about addiction and the people that struggle with it?
I don't know if you have anything to add to this one, Hallee. I don't feel like by any means that I'm an expert on addiction. So I feel like we captured this one family's experience over the course of 1 year, and I hope that there's a lot of learnings that other families can get from that. But I don't know if I have anything to add specifically about advice on addiction.
Well, I think as far as why Linda said that, that was just something Linda said.
Mm.
I think Linda said that because Linda, who's the mother in our American family, was used to, her mother's mother had struggled with anorexia nervosa, which is a form of addiction. So when she said addiction's cunning, I think she learned from a very early age that she needed to minimize addiction.
Mm.
She needed to hold back what was going on in her life so that addiction could thrive. She went to her parents, as you'll see in the film, and revealed something really traumatic that happened to her. And her dad said, like, "Mom's not doing well this day." So, like, I think for her, addiction being cunning really meant that there are moments where it knows to trick you into hiding it, so that it could stay alive.
Mm.
And that's part of the reason why this family decided, like, no, 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 no. Like, wait a minute. Like, addiction might be cunning, but we are here front and center to face you head on and to try to make things better for our next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a bravery about this family that we don't often see in these stories. I think, you talk about sensationalizing. I think so often the stories focus on the drugs and less on the people, if you will, or on the addiction itself, less on the people. But I love that, even the fact that it's called Our American Family. This is just who we are, and we're working through it together. I think is such a beautiful way to tell the story. Um,
Thank you.
what, just from your experience, it, I was wondering how this time. I mean, I know, Hallee, you said you've known this family for some time, but this is a very intimate part of the equation. For you and Sean, does an experience like this change you, and if so, how?
Absolutely. It was, I mean, it was an experience unlike any I've ever had before. Like, we didn't exactly know. I mean, the situation was so raw when this started. Like, Nicole was just very newly sober and entering recovery. And it was pretty touch and go for a while, and sort of living on the edge of your seat like that, just as a film crew, not knowing when we were going to have to come back, what we might have to come back for, what was going to happen within their lives, within the family as she was experiencing recovery. I think it was a tiny taste of what so many families go through and struggle with, of the uncertainty
Mm.
of dealing with addiction. And I think in me, it really created an empathy for what people might be going through behind their doors, even when everything appears to be fine on the surface.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think as far as just changing us, there's just an inspiring piece of determination here,
Mm.
right? This family shows fierce determination to try to figure this out, figure out the unfigure outable, right? But, and whether or not every answer will be perfect, I mean, we're so grateful that we were able to, you know, shoot a project where Nicole and this family realized success, that Nicole found sobriety, long-term sobriety for the first time by the end of filming. She's now almost 5 years sober. So how to think that something's impossible and reframe your mind to say anything's possible. How to talk less about addiction and the harsh parts about addiction, and how to talk more about recovery. You know, how to talk maybe less about, you know, the neighbor that you might judge on the side, and talk more about compassion. So I think as far as changing, the other thing that really struck me throughout filming is the family oftentimes was so mired in stress
Mm.
and fear surrounding Nicole. And there was this element to Nicole that even if things were really hard, like she was silly. Like in the recovery house, something we didn't show, but we were like, can we put this in the end credits? Was like they were pranking the women that worked there. And I'm not saying that's like a good behavior, go prank people, but like there was just a levity and a lightness and sometimes a childishness that reminded us to kind of embrace that within ourselves. Like, how can we take the best pieces of someone who's struggling? How can we take the fact that Nicole's like eloquent and amazing and powerful and persistent? Like, how can we take the best pieces of people who struggle and see them for those pieces too?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. And you know, I was wondering too, and maybe I don't know if this is a question that can be answered or not, but again, from your experience, like one of the things we see uh, in the home, obviously, is this the difficulty that it causes. I'm wondering, from your perspective, is there something that you saw in the family that, just as we're wrapping up here, of how those relationships can be restored in the midst of these challenges from this family in particular?
Do you want me to jump in, Sean?
Yeah, sure.
I think there was one of the things we saw in the family, and look, we don't have the recipe for all families. We're like Sean said, we're not personal experts. So, but what things that I think we saw was a commitment to honesty, was taking responsibility. You know, that when the family shifted to, you know, when you see Nicole shift from saying, oh, nothing I'm doing is wrong, towards the end of the film, her admitting that she might have caused a lot of pain for her family. Like that was really powerful. It was hard for her to even see that along the way. So I think those shifts in taking responsibility, and also just deeply leading with love. This family, no matter what happens, okay, you see some of their big fights on screen, but they're honest. When it's hard for Nicole and Linda in Our American Family to navigate like how to raise Nicole's daughter, like they're honest about it. So how to be honest and really remember that their love as a family, it really was unconditional. I know that sounds cliche, but it really was.
Yeah, and they're very forgiving of one another. I think, no matter what we see them go through in the film, they're always willing to and ready to forgive one another, and always love is really the key.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Honestly, the film is incredible. It is powerful. It's moving and challenging. To you both, thank you so much for the time. It's amazing. It's an amazing piece, Our American Family, and thank you so much for the time to chat about it. I appreciate it.
We do too. Thank you so much for watching the film and for the other. I watched your Jonas Strauss interview the other day. It was so good separately. But thank you for all the work you do too. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks so
thank
much.
you very much.
Have a great day. I wish you the best.
Like you never